Hello my beautiful people, welcome to your weekly general taroscope with me, Raphael from Reydiant Reality. It's an absolute pleasure to have you. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for joining me. I just want to say a massive thank you so much to all of you who allowed me to have some time off that was much needed and just kind of get on with it. I really do appreciate you for that, and for those of you that reached out just to make sure that I was all right, I also appreciate that as well. But just wanted to say thank you to all of you. So this is your weekly general message, and as you can see, that is your message for the week, or those are your messages for the week. So the weekly general is basically just a general overview of the energies, trends and themes that we're likely to all be experiencing in some way. And basically what I will do is all of this is informed or infused with my intuitive message. So every week I'll go into my intuition and I ask for an intuitive understanding of what it is that we need to know for the week ahead. And it usually plays out, you know, like vision. Sometimes it's words or impressions. Sometimes it's like a mini movie in my head. And sometimes it's, you know, and I try to turn those into sayings that we can take forward with us or live by for the week ahead. All right. So with that said, before we start, as always, I would like to bless my decks of cards with all forms of love, light, peace, prosperity and abundance. And I pray that the messages that come through are ultimately clear and concise, and they help us all on our paths to our highest vibrational good. So this week, your intuitive messages are: own it before it's too late. So if there is something, or you know, some area of your life where, you know, excuse my language, but I'm just going to come out and say it, like if there's somewhere in your life that you know you fucked up, this week, just own it before it's too late, before it becomes an issue. Put your hand up and just say, you know what, I made a wrong, I made a mistake, I made a boo-boo in some way, shape or form, and just own it and claim it and leave it at that. Don't let it become a thing. And this is not one of those weeks like where, you know, some people will tell a lie and then they'll tell another lie to cover up that lie, and it just becomes this awful, ugly, tangled up mess. Don't do it. Just put your hand up, own whatever it is that you have messed up with or on. And another way that this might show up as well, it may not necessarily even be a lie that you've told. It might not be even a lie that you've told to somebody else. Maybe it's a lie that you've told yourself, that you can't do something, that you're too old, that you're too this, that you're too that it's all bollocks. Don't buy into it. You know, excuse my language. And the other thing as well that I want to say to you as well, in terms of owning it before it's too late, what about your brilliance? What about those dreams that are newly sprouted? Are you gonna, you know, tell yourself, oh, well, you know, even though I've got this passion to, I don't know, gosh, you know, go back to, you know, I'll give you an example from my own life. Like, okay, I'm not going to now suddenly be going and, you know, pursuing a career in dance anymore. That ship has long sailed. But what? So because I'm older now, I can't ever go to another dance class and enjoy that? Or, you know, because maybe I want to start another business, just because I've got this one doesn't mean that I can't start a new one or go in a different direction. Don't allow, like, whatever it is, own it before it's too late. Start to water those seeds and plant and nourish those seeds now before they die on the vine. Okay? The other thing is, turn your failures into wins. If you fall over and you fall flat on your face, you style that shit out and make it look like it was the most damn graceful fall that anybody has ever seen. All right? This is akin to, you know, in the theatre world, if something happens on stage that is completely wrong or out of, they don't just all suddenly stop and go, oh my gosh, that was the wrong line. And can you imagine? It would be ridiculous. They just continue as if nothing has happened. This week, this is what you're supposed to do. In order to turn your failures into wins, don't acknowledge what was a failure. Make it a part of whatever it is that you're working on or towards. All right? Okay, so those are your intuitive messages for the week ahead. For your, or should I say our, destiny card for the week ahead, for the overarching energy, trend or theme. This week we have the Justice card. It's very interesting because this came up for Aquarius, and the message that I got for them or from this card this week was there is a whole bunch of wrongs that are about to be righted. All right, so if there's something in your life where you know you've kind of been dealt a wrong hand, or something's been really unfair, or it's been an underhand tactic of some sort, This week it's going to be revealed and it's going to be rectified. I love this because the spirit of fairness and equality finally wins out. You know, it seems like it's been a while for that kind of thing, right? But this is about us also dedicating ourselves and our energies towards having a fairness and equality, towards not being told that we can't have something. And more importantly, this is about being committed to whatever it takes in order to have what is fairly, you know, and this is kind of like that whole thing where it's like, you know what, I don't want anything that isn't mine, but I do want what I'm owed. And that is a fair, you know, that's a fair way of looking at things as far as I'm concerned. And just as I said that, there's a white butterfly flying outside my window. I'll take it. All right, so whatever that means to you. And obviously, so in terms of own it before it's too late, what is justice all about? It's about doing the right thing. And so, you know, whether this is, like I said, towards somebody else or even towards yourself, do the right thing, do the fair thing. You know, treat yourself fairly, just as fairly as you would treat other people, and expect and demand that same fairness in return, you know, wherever you're dealing with other people. In terms of turning your failures into wins, the Justice card is about righting the wrongs or balancing the scales. And so this week, allowing those things to happen or take place in your world, that's going to be the way forward. So for our direction cards, how do we best utilize this Justice card energy? We've got the Devil card, the healthy kind of obsession, right? If there's something that you want, something that you want to create, something that you want to welcome into your world, you have to make space for it. You have to get dedicated. You have to stand by it or behind it like you say you were going to. Then you've got the Nine of Swords. Okay, so I'm going to say this straight up. Probably because of the triple conjunction, it looks like sleep is going to be few and far between for everybody. If you find that you're not sleeping very well, it wouldn't surprise me that that is a part of it. Now, the Nine of Swords with the Justice card, this could be a worry or a challenge over something that was supposed to happen that hasn't up until now. Again, this is about finding that healthy obsession and saying, no, you know what? I deal with everything fairly and equally, and I expect that the same in return. And then finally, with the King of Swords, I love the King of Swords. The King of Swords for me is always a person of integrity, but because this is a general reading, this suggests that the spirit of fairness, equality, and integrity is what's going to win the day. Even with the Nine of Swords, even with the Devil card, this may be, you know, fairness to the extreme. I definitely see this as a balancing of the scales, and as a triplet, I almost want to say, like, this week, it might be about having to have the hard conversations. It might be about having to call someone out or to, you know, on their BS, or maybe even having to maybe set a very heavy boundary, or even, you know, excuse my language, I know it's been a potty mouth, really, really bad one this week, but you know, sometimes you have to throw some fucks around. Sometimes you have to set some boundaries. You know, sometimes, you know, there's that whole thing about, you know, fuck around and find out. Well, maybe this week somebody needs to find out. This is about really owning your space and owning yourself and not allowing yourself to be taken advantage of. And sometimes that same fairness and equality that we give to others is the same fairness and equality that we have to give ourselves. All right, so if you're expected to step up this week for yourself, you better make sure you show up for yourself. For your insight cards, what are the energies that are coming in that we may not be aware of as yet? We have the Eight of Wands, gorgeous, with the King of Cups and the Tower card. Of course we do, because it could never be that easy. So what do we see first of all? We've got two kings. Two kings represents minor council. So this could be where you are getting a second opinion. This could be a really good week to seek out some sort of professional advice if you've got something that you're worried about. I will say, if you're dealing with somebody or something that is a bit of a challenge, go over their head. Don't bother, you know, going to the layman. Like, go straight to the ombudsman if you have to. You know, like, this is not a week to get petty with it. It's a week to do what needs to be done. The Eight of Wands with the King of Cups. Honestly, this is support. that comes either from what feels like a distance or support that comes from an unlikely source. And because it comes through the guise of the King of Cups, this is somebody that actually cares about you, somebody that wants to see you win, somebody that wants to be an assistant to you in some way, shape or form. Another way that this could show up, because we've got the Tower card here as well, I wouldn't be surprised if in our personal lives, somebody comes in or waltzes in that completely upends our life, but maybe in like the best way. I'm putting money on it that there are going to be a lot of couples formed this week, or certainly the inklings of potential relationships will start this week. And because of that triple conjunction, these are likely to be things that are, you know, connections and partnerships and relationships that are fated in some way, shape or form. On top of that, the Tower card, you know, like I said, it can be really liberating. What we've been, certainly for us here in the UK, you know, especially on the wider world stage and, you know, with politics and stuff, what we've been expecting and been getting so far is this. What we're going to get is this. I would not be surprised if the people that are currently in the running, the conversation stops being about them very quickly and will start to be about somebody who I have long suspected is being prepared to be our next leader. And I wonder if this person is kind of shunted into the role a lot quicker than a lot of people expect. And it's not one of the ones that's currently making noise and waves, but we shall see. I don't want to mention any names, but I know who I mean. And I think if you've been paying close enough attention, you probably know who I mean as well. But all in all, it doesn't look like a bad week, but it does look like a week that is going to shift and change a lot for a lot of people. And I think, you know, with the intuitive messages that came through, that spirit of fairness and equality is what we really need to hold on to for ourselves and for other people. All in all, I think it's going to be a pretty good week. I'll be interested and intrigued to see how it goes, though. Also, there is one thing that I do need to mention here, and now that I've just looked at the triplets again, there is something else that I'm seeing. So this Devil card with the Nine of Swords and the King of Swords, that's a corporate structure and or a government structure that's going to fold in some way, and it's going to be because of the Tower. So something about, you know, the infrastructure that we all rely on is about to shift in a really powerful way, and that Tower card suggests that the fallout from it will be exactly as I see it, you know, and I always have. If you've ever heard the song People Help the People by Birdie, that is exactly what I mean. If you took my Mindset Magic course and you were on the community call, I talked about that a lot. I talked about a lot of this in depth in there. If you want to be on the next community call, you need to get onto the Mindset Magic course. With that said, I wish you all an abundance of all of that good stuff. Take care, and I'll speak to you soon.